report recorded an exclusive interview with the family attorney of Gurgen Margaryan. Siranush Sahakyan is representing the Armenian lieutenant who was brutally axe-murdered in his sleep by an Azerbaijani officer back in 2004. The two officers were in Budapest, Hungary, participating in a NATO program for peace when the Azerbaijani officer Ramil Safarov inhumanely murdered Gurgen Margaryan in his sleep. Recently, Armenia has referred the European court ruling in Gurgen Margaryan's murder case to the Grand Chamber. The appeal has been filed by our guest, Siranush Sahakyan, and her colleague, Levon Gevorkyan. Sahakyan joined us from Armenia for an interview. Let's take a listen.
We have a judgment, particularly it declared violation of right to life due to pardoning, glorification, and remaining activities, this procedural aspect of the right to life. And then we have recognition of violation of Article 14, discrimination based on ethnicity of the victim. So actually, the European Court acknowledged that Azerbaijan implements anti-Armenian policy. And this is the first judgment where, from the legal point of view, these facts are established and there is a court finding on anti-discrimination policy, hatred against Armenians. But the court failed to attribute the killing of Safarov to Azerbaijan. And this was mainly due to Hungarian court verdict, where they considered the killing as an act committed in a private capacity. Though Safarov was the agent of Azerbaijan, Hungarian courts found that he was not acting in official capacity, and the crime was motivated on personal reasons rather than it was instructed by state authorities. But following glorification, some other promotion of Safarov, we thought that Azerbaijan acknowledged and adopts the killing of Safarov as its own, and even if we consider him as a private person, not a state agent, due to this acknowledgement and adoption, state responsibility is still there. However, the European Court heavily relied on the findings of Hungarian courts, and it did not found violation of right to life due to the killing. And here we have disagreement with the court, and we decided to appeal. But the appeal is also conditioned on other grounds. We're quite confident that Azerbaijan will appeal the decision, even if there was a firm approach that right to life due to pardoning and anti-discrimination is evident. However, in order to adjourn the implementation of court decision, tactically, they would have appealed this decision.
You are appealing this case, but what are your objective goals in this appeal then?
To have acknowledgement on violation of right to life due to attribution of killing of Safarov to Azerbaijan.
Does that mean that you want Safarov moved back to Hungary to go to prison there? Do you want Armenia to have possession of him?
Actually, the part which is favorable to us is enough to claim imprisonment for Safarov and measures in order to ensure his punishment. So no tolerance towards impunity. So the judgment which we have as to this day is enough to claim such implementation measures. But our aim is to show that the killing was implemented at the level of state rather than to a private person. So the killing should also have been attributed to Azerbaijan, and Azerbaijan must be responsible for killing in itself, not only pardoning or glorification. This is the issue, which does not have huge impact on implementation, but from legal point of view, it's a very important issue.
Do you know where Azerbaijan and Safarov's attorneys stand on this? When the news broke about the appeal in this case, do you know where they stand? What their response was?
No, procedurally, Azerbaijan does not have a chance to see the grounds of our appeal, and the vice versa. So, actually, there must be a panel decision on acceptance of referral. Whenever the Grand Chamber decides to accept the request for referral, then they share the documents with other parties. At this point, we don't have the panel decision. So we need to wait until the panel will rule on acceptance of request for referral or rejection. And depending on the panel decision, then the proceedings will follow the Grand Chamber, and both parties will be aware of the grounds of the appeal.
Have you spoken to Amal Clooney? Has there been any sort of international assistance, legal assistance, or any sort of support from her?
No, we haven't been in contact with her. So the case was prepared by local lawyers. At a certain point, we included a lawyer from UK. At this stage, the case is being represented by two lawyers, myself and Levon Gevorkyan. But we haven't been in touch with Clooney on this issue.
As you mentioned, Azerbaijan was recognized guilty after releasing Safarov, right? So basically,
Yes.
So basically, my question is, what kind of punishment Azerbaijan awaits for doing it, and what kind of punishment you want Azerbaijan to have?
Restitution in integrum, which requires sending back to prison the convicted person. So it's mainly about actual punishment rather than releasing the criminal from punishment and ensuring impunity. The other option was compensation. But after discussing the issue with the family, we decided not to seek monetary compensation for the life of an Armenian. So from their side, it's impossible to get back of their son. And it was hard for them to calculate how much costs his life. And they decided not to claim any compensation for their moral and pecuniary damages. Instead, this is a critical issue to have acknowledgement of violation as a mean of preventing future crimes against Armenians. Basically, the enforcement would require punishment of Safarov.
Sorry, just to clarify, am I right saying that you're seeking a punishment for Safarov as an Azerbaijani officer, but not Azerbaijan as a country who violated this crucial law?
There are peculiarities in state responsibility before International Human Rights Court and International Court of Justice. So the only possibility for the European Court is to impose monetary measures on the state due to state responsibility for certain actions, and second, to require individual and general measures. So individual measure in this case would be imprisonment of Safarov, and general measure would be to take all necessary steps in order to eliminate discrimination and anti-Armenian policy in Azerbaijan or by Azerbaijan across the world. So general measures would require changing the policy of Azerbaijan towards Armenians, which is very important.
Okay, I got you. Thank you.
You're welcome.